Okay, cool. We are recording and we are streaming. Let me play the track. If there was Okay, love it. All right. I wonder what happens if I do this. Okay, see that switches off. So we can't do that. And we are recording. All right. Just going to pop this off. Alright, I need to pause real quick. What can I do this on? I can do it on here. Alright, sorry y'all, I'm just getting everything set up. Making sure we are streaming on all platforms. Into TikTok. Now we're gonna go Okay. So let's get started. Make sure everything is still going. All right, so I'm going to do a production breakdown for my song In My Head. I'm going to go through all the major parts of the production. I've got them all grouped here. We've got guitars, keys, drums, bass, and then I have my vocals, which I will break down in kind of the second half. But yeah, I'm going to start with these, and then for everybody who's been curious, I am going to show how to use... Oh, unplug this. Oh my goodness. I'm going to show how... Show how to use the OP1 to get that warp vocal technique that I used in this song. It is a very cool process, a little bit tedious, but one that I think is worth recreating because I just have not found, with all the plugins I've used, I have not found anything that quite gives it the same warp technique or warp kind of style. So I'm going to go through all that. So for right now, I want to start with our production. So let's start with the guitars. Let's open them all up. So right here, guitar main C. You can see, now I'm not a guitar player, not a good guitar player, not any form of a guitar player, okay? By the way, if you're on TikTok, you can find this live stream on my YouTube, at Bensbeendead on YouTube, if you want to check it out, where I have the actual Ableton file opened up. But, okay, so we're looking at guitar main C, main centered. Now, if you see here, there is a main guitar R, which I have panned to the right, but it's also muted. So I originally did two of these guitars, left and a right, for the verses and the pre-chorus. But then I ended up kind of realizing that it was kind of weird to have, because if you'll see here, there's guitar middle, right? And so I did stereo guitars for the verses and the pre-chorus, and then I had just one mono guitar in the middle for the chorus, which after reflecting on it didn't really make a ton of sense to me, because, you know, it feels weird to have a really wide stereo field and then have it become really narrow for the chorus. I feel like it was going to make more sense to have it be kind of more narrow in the verses and the pre-chorus and then really spread out. So what I ended up doing was making these verse guitars here mono, and just putting one in the middle. And then you'll see here, I did this one. This is the main part for the pre-chorus, and then I just added one that is the same thing layered over the top, but just pitched up an octave. So it's literally the same file. I just pitched it up an octave and I kind of blended them together. I put some different effects on that one, so you end up with kind of a more full sound on that. But I'll play you this this guitar lick here. All right, so yeah, nothing too crazy as far as processing, and you'll see, as I said, I'm not a guitar player, so you know, this guitar take is comped of a bunch of individual chords that I recorded. I did end up learning how to play it a little better as time went on, so now I can play the full thing, but yeah, just really like I guess 3 chords there. Yeah, nothing too crazy going on. That's kind of the real main part of that verse. If there was some kind of reason you didn't want me there, 'cause So then there's some keys that come in. So we'll break this verse down first, all the elements. So yeah, really just that guitar. I'll show you the processing. I've got an EQ. I'm hoping this will pull up. Cool. So I got an EQ. Nothing crazy. Cut some of the lows, cut some of the low mids. And then there was some kind of like broadband noise. I don't know if that's what you call it, but basically some stuff that I wanted to get out of there around this frequency. So I just kind of notched that down. And then I threw a guitar rig on it. Guitar rig I love for guitars. I mean, all of them. But I mean, you can see the preset right here. It's just, I kind of messed around with clean compressed. So it doesn't have a ton of processing. And I'll play it without this stuff. And then I'll show you what this does. So the EQ just gets rid of a little bit of the low end. And the guitar rig kind of just adds a little bit of warmth to it. Obviously compresses it a bunch. And then this plugin I found on Instagram, weirdly enough. It was like $20 or something. McPree. I think it's supposed to emulate like a McGee guitar sound if you really crank it up. And I'll show you what that adds. Not really a ton. Just a little bit more like saturated, bordering on distortion. But I'll show you if I crank it. So yeah, you can get that real distorted McGee. I don't know where I had this. Probably somewhere around here. Yeah, it's a cool plugin. I like it. I like it for guitars, and it's also cool for other stuff like keys, drums. I haven't tried it on vocals, but I probably should because I think that would give it a cool tone. All right, so there's our guitar. Let's keep going down to our bass. Bass is nothing crazy, just some root notes. Nothing crazy at all. Just quite literally trying to give bass frequency. So yeah, I'll show you what I got on here. I got Saturn, little saturation, nothing too crazy. Drive at like 19%. Yeah, I don't think that's what's saturating it though. Bass Rider, this is a cool plugin. It just kind of keeps your sub frequencies. I mean, they have like riders for pretty much anything, but it just keeps it leveled. You can see that there's not much happening. Occasionally there's little spots where it peaks, but so that keeps it level. Using guitar rig again, they got some good bass stuff. Dirty studio bass. That's what I'm using. That's what I use a lot, honestly. Either Dirty Studio Bass or Basic Bass Pro right here. Those are kind of my two favorites. And then a glue compressor side chained to the kick. There's no kick in this earlier part, but I think I had in the chorus I had it side chained to a kick that I layered over the breakbeat sample that kind of digs it out a little bit. There's not really too much going on. The threshold's pretty low on that, so to be honest, I don't really remember why I put it on there so low. Like that doesn't really do much, but I did it, so gotta live with it. So that's really the I think the keys come in about halfway through there. Yeah, So let's check out the keys. So we got the guitar, the bass, and then halfway through that verse we got our keys. This comes from the UAD Polymax synth. This is one of my favorite synths as far as VSTs. Yeah, I love the sound that you can get from this. I'm using this Swedish brass preset, and I think I probably tweaked some of the attack and decay stuff, but just a really nice tone. I think the original tone was pretty similar to that when I got it, and then I threw this UAD Brigade chorus. Love this plugin. Classic 80s vibrato guitar. You'll see what it does when I... It's a little bit like, you know, more, a little bit thinner to me, but when you throw this on, it really kind of fattens it up. And then an EQ where I was just boosting some of the high mids. Yeah, I don't know, probably just trying to pull it out of the mix a little bit. I know you're not usually supposed to just boost like that, but I don't know, I was probably at the end of the mixing and just wanted to get it to cut through a little more. So let's check that out. So I'm just going to solo this. You can hear the guitar, the bass. Those are the only two elements for the verse. And the keys come in right there. Okay, then we get to the pre. So the pre, the guitar pattern switches a little bit. Again, you can see that I have guitar main right and left, but that's not entirely accurate because I did end up moving this back one to the center. You can see so that this has pretty much the same processing as the verse guitar. I think I did a little bit different on the EQ. Let's see what I did here. Funky Chicago. So I guess it's a little bit different from what I had before, clean compressed or whatever, but you can hear it's a little more distorted if we listen to these two different tones. There's a little more distortion on that. I think I wanted to kind of just, you know, add a little more tension as we're building here. Okay. So then I just took the same guitar and I pitched it up. You can see right here it's just up an octave. Put it on complex, and this is what that sounds like. So yeah, same guitar, just up a little bit, up an octave, and then I changed the preset Psychedelic Cleans. Just wanted it to be a little more like a little more psychedelic, a little more kind of verby, spaced out. And I'll play them together now. I think it gives it a really cool tone, just having those blended together. Put that Mick Pre on here again. You know, nothing too crazy. And then cut some of the lows. Because I kind of wanted this to sit mostly on top of that other guitar. So that's our guitar for this section. And then we got the same keypad, just playing slightly different chords. Love these chords. Super nice. Yeah, alright, so, and actually the bass comes out for that part. There's no bass. I think I wanted to just kind of empty it out before it really hits on the chorus. So, no bass. I Kind of hear it drop out right here. Give it a little space. I also wanted to slow that guitar pattern down a little bit. You know, this is more the and then here we go into I don't know if you would call that like triplets. I don't think that's triplets, but you can hear the difference. This one's a different pattern, and it kind of changes the rhythm a little bit. What do we have for drums? Oh, I broke this down on my TikTok and Instagram. One of the cool sounds, but I'm gonna go over it again because this is really fun. So this perk loop here is, you can hear it builds, so you're not gonna hear it right now. It's coming out of an auto filter, but this perk loop, and then I made that little stutter. So I'm going to open a new track and show you where this comes from. If you haven't seen that video, but if you have seen it, this will be a bit redundant, but let's do it anyway. So this comes from a plugin from XLN Audio called Life. And this plugin is so fun because it creates drum loops out of whatever sounds you give it, really. It doesn't have to be drums. It doesn't even have to sound like drums. You can put anything in there. You can put vocals. You can put whatever, and it will, if you're seeing this, it will chop your file into, you know, like different warp markers and essentially make beats out of it. So I've used a whole bunch of different things: bird noises, tapping glass, hitting a sign, you know, whole bunch of stuff. And then of course they have their own samples, whatever, but the one that I used for this particular song, which I thought was super cool, was here we go, this sound from when I was on a plane, and it's a combination of kind of that weird like high-pitched hum that a plane makes when you're just, you know, when you're sitting on a plane, and then the pilot talking, being like, oh, you know, we're about to take off, blah, blah, blah. I'll just play it. Nope. They're not going to play it. Let's see. I don't know why this is not playing. Do I have something soloed? I do. Okay, sorry. Alright, let's play that again. So you get that high-pitched noise.
Flight tech will be next to take off. Flight 10, please spread cap.
Then we're going to be next to take off. Kept it rolling a little bit. So I've used this, not going to lie, in like 4 or 5 different songs because it just gives me, you know, so many different cool sounds. But I'm going to play this beat that it comes up with immediately. You can see how it's just grabbing little sounds from in there and making a rhythm with it. You can use these things, drag them around to kind of change the sound. And you can change the pattern here. Whole bunch of different stuff. I like doing, I mean, because I'm a little bit lazy with this, I like doing just randomize. It'll give you different things. You can change all these different settings. You can add some swing to it if you want. All in all, this is a super cool plugin, Life by XLN Audio. But I used that exact sound, this exact plane sound that I'm looking at right now, to make this loop. You can hear that little high pitch, you know, plane sound. You can hear the voice from him saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, cabin is ready," whatever. But yeah, so I thought, you know, I wanted to add something that was a little bit percussive, trying to build up to that drop. So I brought this in with an auto filter that's just kind of coming out of, you can see here, it's just building out of literally nothing. Yeah, just automate it out. I got a radiator on here from Sound Toys that just kind of beefs it up a little bit. And then 1176 compressor drum squash. Yeah, nothing too crazy. And it's really a minimal thing. Like you'll hear it kind of poke out a little bit as it gets closer to the chorus. You can kind of start to hear it here. And then we get to the chorus. What else? Oh, there's just a riser. Just, pretty basic. Yeah, nice little riser there. What's this? Oh, this I think came from the OP1. Just another kind of note riser. It's all in my head. A little bit of tension going on. Yeah, it's definitely from the OP1. And then I did a little riser with my trusty Ebo. I don't know if you can see this. I also did a video on the Ebo, but that is super fun for making some kind of like pad sounds with your guitar. It just did a little swell in on what looks like a G sharp. And that's what we have going into that chorus, production-wise. So let's get to the chorus. All right. I'm going to start with the guitars again. Okay, so here are our guitars. This time so like I mentioned earlier, I had just a mono guitar in the middle, and I feel like I need to say that I started working on this song much earlier than when I decided it was going to be on this album. So basically I made this kind of, production, and then I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. But then by the time I came back to working on it, I totally forgot what I had played. And because I'm not a good guitar player, I just couldn't figure it out. So I had recorded this. As a mono guitar track, and I'll show you what's on it. We have just cutting some lows, cutting some low mids, compression. I love these UAD compressors. Another guitar rig, little heavy rocker. That sounds so funny for me, but yeah, just wanted a little more fuzz, real dirty. Another EQ where I'm just heavy pulling out these frequencies. Again, I wouldn't always advise like boosting stuff like this, but this was probably toward the end when I was just putting band-aids on stuff. And then some reverb, Valhalla, cut some of the lows out of it. I'll turn all this stuff off so you can just hear the raw guitar real soft. I'll turn it up. And you can see here, like, as I said, I'm not a guitar player, so I had to essentially just do so many of these guitars, like one chord at a time, sometimes even just a couple notes at a time, and splice them all together. But what I was saying about the fact that I couldn't remember how to play this was I was like, damn, I really want this to be stereo, but I couldn't figure out how to play it again, so all I did was just paste it onto a different track, and you can see here, got two of the same track, and one of them is just moved literally like, a couple milliseconds over, so that it's not laying directly on top of it and creating phase issues. I got one of them that doesn't have any of the plugins, so I'm going to turn those back on. But yeah, I just wanted to give it a little more stereo feel when we got to the chorus. Ideally, if I could remember what to play, I would have just played it again to give it even more, difference. But I'm out here on my own, so just trying to make it work. And I think it works fine. I might have even I might have even changed this up a little bit. Well, it looks like I'm using the same preset, but I might have messed with the dirt, just to give it a little bit more. But for the most part, I think these are pretty much exactly the same. They're just used a half a millisecond, and if you're in a pinch and you need to get some sort of stereo feel, that works. That definitely works to do that. So then we have this riser kind of carrying through here. Just stays on that G sharp until it fades out. Yeah, we're in let's see. We're in F minor for this song, so that's what we're using. Alright, so that's the guitars. Real simple, just that progression played twice. Now another pad. This is from this Tal. I don't even know how to say this. Tal LX V2. There's a really nice hardware version of this that I don't own. I would love to own, but this is the plug-in version. It works all the same. I think it was pretty cheap, actually. And I'm just using the default patch. The default patch is just like a super ripping synth. Oh, my favorite thing in the world is that that glide. I think you can control the glide on this portamento right here. So if I put it, you'll see if I turn that up. It takes a long time to get through those chords, but I found a nice little sweet spot where it takes just like half a second to get into the chord. There's nothing better. Yeah, we got the chorus on it. So nice. Yeah. Again, you can get real drastic if you want to turn that up. If you want to get into some weird, like, in between, I think you get into some real haunting stuff if you were scoring, some horror movies or something. But I wanted it to remain relatively digestible. I didn't want it to be too crazy, so that's what we got for this. Nothing really crazy on it. Obviously, you can hear that side chain from the kick. Just kind of ducking it out when it's hitting. Giving it that pulsing feel. Got a EQ, just pulling a little bit of right around 375 and boosting around almost 3,000. And then a little stock reverb, just 10%. Really, really long. So you can hear it. Just kind of gives it a little bit of space. Super nice. Super nice. Okay. So that's our pad. And then I got this little lead going on here that comes in. Let me just play realize I haven't played the chorus all the way through, so I'm just do that. It's all in my Okay. So we went through that, we went through the pad, and then this lead comes in, you'll hear. Right there. Going into the second half of the chorus. So I'll play by itself. Just a little kind of stabby lead. Comes from the Polymax again. This preset chord cutter. I love this sound. I don't even think I changed much about it. I think if I take off the delay and the verb. Yeah, super kind of metallic. I like it a lot. So, yeah, nothing crazy changed about that. I added this like 16th note delay. Just kind of, fuck it up a little bit. Excuse my language. And then some, this is my favorite stock reverb from Ableton, side note, Large Factory. I don't know why, but I just feel like it works on pretty much everything. So I cranked that up to like 25%. One thing about me, I have some pretty bad OCD when it comes to music. Well, it comes to a lot of things, but if you notice, I have a really hard time not putting the volume of things or percentages of things or any kind of numerical value not on like a nice number in my head, So you'll see all of these are put to like, almost all of them are to the number, to the whole number. I don't like messing around. Like in betweens, but that's a me problem. That's not a you problem. But yeah, that's just how it is, So I got this on 25% because to me that's like a nice number. Wouldn't dare do. Actually, I did it here, 72%. I think that might have actually just been the preset of that delay, and I probably had to fight myself from changing it, but yeah, nice little there. Nothing too crazy. Let's check out the bass. Bass just playing what are these, 8th notes, 16th notes? I think 8th notes. Got some 8th notes going on. And that's where it gets back to the verse. Yeah, nothing crazy. Just wanted to make it a little more energetic. Same plugins, I already showed you those. And let's check out the drums. So, on our drums here, we have a tambo loop. Probably got it from Splice. Little 16th notes. Cut all the lows out of it. Warm it up. Throw some, another real short delay on it. Slap back. Some verb. Another EQ to cut off some of the really high frequencies. Looks like I automated this a little bit. I'm not sure where. Oh, I guess that's just accidental. There's nothing going on. So we got tambo. We got a kick layered in. Nice punchy kick. Got this Sheps Omni channel going on. I love the saturation on this, so I like to use it on drums. Gives it a nice warmth. Yeah, it's a cool plugin. That's our kick patterns. Pretty simple. You'll notice that it only does the one hit on the one and then does a double hit for the rest of the pattern. Then we got a couple little impact crashes here. Got that guy. We got regular crash. Just wanted to hit on the one. Then we got our break beat, which is kind of the major, element of these drums. You know, 117 is a really good tempo for break beat, EB stuff. So yeah, got a nice little jungle break here. But I just layered it with a kick, matching where those are hitting. Just wanted to make it a little more punchy because sometimes I was trying to bring out, the high end stuff in this loop, and it ended up, cutting out some of the low end. So I wanted to add some of that back. Yeah, okay, so then we got a snare layered on top. Ton of verb on it. And just matching where the snares are hitting. I'll make that snare a little thicker. I think, if I take away... It just wasn't, I don't know. There was something about the tone of it that I didn't love. Beef it up a little bit, so we added a nice little snare on top of it. And that's kind of the basis of the drums, at least for this for this chorus, sorry. Yeah, nothing else really going on. Then we got some risers here going into, it's just a, noise riser going into the next verse. Another little space riser going on. What else? I think that's it. For the drums. Yeah, more stuff gets added into the next chorus, but for the first one, it's pretty... Goodness, this computer's gonna die, but I don't really need that. Alright, let's keep going. So what else are we looking at? So let's go to the next verse. So nothing changes about the guitars, same exact guitar pattern, progression. Yeah, nothing changes about this. Go to bass. Bass is the same as before. You can see, just copy and paste it over. Drums. We get some drums in here. We get a little rim shot. Rim knock knock. Don't know where that came from, but yeah, I got this little pattern going on. Let's see. Yeah, that's kind of that. And I added, kind of in the 11th hour, I added some real simple hi-hats. Add a little distorted gate on it, and then gated from the rim, so every time that rim hits, it'll duck out a little bit. What else? We got same kick, slightly different pattern. Yeah. Take it out in random spots.
Psychiatric hole. No reason to release me. I never make it easy. I'm finding
I wanted to keep that kind of like drum and bass energy, but real minimal. I didn't want it to be super heavy over that verse. And then same keys come in halfway through as the first verse. Yeah, so that verse is pretty similar to the first one. It just adds some of these kind of minimal drums. And then we go in here where just for a second we drop out the guitars altogether. And I think just the pad hit.
Keepsake, if I'm stuck here in a freeze frame and I just can't let it go.
Kind of empties out really nice. And then the guitars come in back there. Actually, we kept the high one. Just kind of hear a little bit of that. And then we got these leads that came from the OP1. Got this. Ton of verb on that. And then we got this one. Sounds like they're playing the same melody. But you can see that we got one pan to the right, one pan to the left. And so those just go throughout that pre-chorus, that second pre-chorus, and then we got one that comes in about halfway through. A little bit different. And all three of those. I think the melody's slightly different on that one. And let's see. Oh, and then we got that perk loop coming back in. Same thing coming out of that auto filter. Same risers. Oh, threw a little drum fill in here. I think this is probably from Splice. Yeah, it's got a cool tone. And then we're back into our chorus again. Same elements here. Oh, we got a lead coming in here for this chorus. Kind of like a siren-y thing. It's playing a pretty similar melody to what's going on in that pre-chorus. And then we got a little bells. I like this melody. So those are panned, one to the right, one to the left, give it a little space. Same plucks as before, that ba-na-na-na-na-na. Same pad. Same tambo loop, same drums. I'm trying to think if anything changes here. Not really, no. So we don't need to go through that too much, but then we'll move on to the bridge. Okay, bridge is probably my favorite part of this song. I think it just took me so long to kind of figure out how I wanted the chord progression to go. So I'll play these guitars. We got a right and a left. Super heavy. This is just going between, I think, like a C and a D chord. Something like that. For most of the bridge, we just kind of alternate between these. Actually, if I look at this pad, I can tell. Got kind of like a more attacky pad. Yeah, it looks like a C sharp minor, C sharp major to a D sharp or E flat. Yeah. So we're just alternating between those for most of the bridge until it kind of switches up. So we got these two guitars, and then I threw this kind of lead guitar. Again, a lot more distortion, a lot more kind of messy on these guitars. Yeah, this is just a lead line I came up with. it works well with these two. Yeah, the processing for these is just Guitar Rig. That Heavy Rocker, that same thing, honestly. I think I probably just copied it over from the chorus guitars. So that's what we've got there. And then I got another low kind of lead. Just all those guitars together. This is Warm Fuzz in the Guitar Rig. Oh, I forgot to mention that going out of this chorus is this. This is the sound that I put on the Cool Sounds video, but yeah, just the same sustain from the EBO. Kind of done some swells. Oh my goodness! And then I got New Distort on here. If you've never used New Distort, so cool. So many cool things you can do with it. Really gives you some of the craziest distortion sounds. I don't know. I use it on vocals. I use it on drums. It's awesome. But that's without it. I mean, in this case, it's just kind of like really beefing it up. But yeah, a lot of stuff you can do with that. If you've never seen New Distort, check out New Distort. Alright, so we have those guitars. I'm going to play all these guitars together. I think I added another sustained lead. I wish I could plug in this laptop real quick. Do I have a cable for that? Excuse me, y'all. Technical difficulties. I do have a cable. Oh, is that not going to reach? My goodness. Do I have another one? That's not right. That's not right. That's really short. Whatever. If it dies, it dies. Not the end of the world. Okay, so. Yeah, we got this guitar here. And that's really all the guitars. And then I took this lead that I played on the bass, but you can see, well, I guess I must have, I guess I just played it really high on the bass neck and then threw some distortion on a basic high white. That's how we ended up with this tone. Threw some little slapback delay on it. Okay, so this is where I wanted to kind of get into it because I really like how these chords change as the bridge comes to an end. So I'm going to solo all these guitars. So again, it's that C sharp to D sharp for most of this. I shot the sun right out the sky, but did you see where we landed? Did you see where we landed? Follow your lead, where we landed. Follow your lead, I know it comes back to me. It's all in my head. So I thought that those chord changes really worked nicely with that melody. with a pad. I'm sure I'll get a better sense of it. It's kind of real pretty for a sec. Then we get a little tension. Then drops out right before coming back into that chorus. So yeah, I went through this, but a little more attacky pad for this. This comes from Polymax too. Attack Brass. I think the other one was Swedish Brass, maybe. A little more attacky here. Got a multi-band compressor on there. Yeah, pretty simple right there. And then, yeah, tambourine comes through. The drums stay the same. I just kind of changed up the pattern, made it a little more repetitive. A little more repetitive, same snare layer going on. Bass, I did a slightly different pattern. Boom, 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 boom. I just wanted to change the rhythm of this bridge. So I'm just curious. I'm going to throw a tuner on here so I can see where I end up going. So yeah, we're at that C sharp to D sharp. To G sharp, to G, to F, to E, oh no, to F, to C, to D sharp. So yeah, cool little movement going on there. Let's see. Alright, I do need to plug in my phone, so I'm going to change our angle here. So give me 1 second while I change this. I'll put you TikTok over here. Cool. And then what we're going to do is change this so that we are a little bit, up, not down. Okay. So that I can plug my phone in. Okay. And then we'll tilt back. Oh, that's annoying. That'll have to do. Okay. So, let's keep going. So we are looking at. That's not where we were. We were on the bridge. So yeah, we got. Is this a different pad? Yeah. So like I said, it's a tacky pad. Attack Brass. Drums are the same. Just changed the loop a little bit. Use the same risers. I think I added a longer riser. Getting out of this one. And then a big cliff to hang off. It's all in my head. Before it goes back in there. Yeah, some of my favorite, guitar stuff in this song, I think, comes out of this bridge. I was proud of the way that I took a long time to get those chords exactly how I wanted them to interact with the vocal, because I had the vocal melody kind of already before I wrote the bridge chords. And yeah, so I think it came out really nice. And then we go back into our chorus. Now this is a fun one. This is from the OP one. I called it Shrink. I don't know why I called it Shrink, but I just thought it sounded like somebody if they were shot with a shrink ray and they just Yeah, I think that hits really cool the way that. All these same leads. I don't know what this is. What is this? Oh, that's funny. I threw that in there because it just came from this vocal delay that I had added somewhere. And it kind of, you know, when you turn the feedback up on a delay really hard, it sometimes just kind of starts, you know, these kind of crazy feedback loops. And that was a feedback loop that I got that I just froze a bunch of times. Got it into this rhythm. Yep. And I thought that was cool. Take up the energy. It's one of those things where you can't really hear it, but you can feel that there's more energy going on there. Oh, they're going to make me do a puzzle. Oh, I didn't do it. Okay. So we keep on going with all these drums are the same, bass is the same. Trying to think if there's anything. There's our little shrink ray. And I think that's it as far as the production. Added this little plucky lead toward the post chorus. I like that melody a lot. That's Sky Keys. You ever use Sky Keys? Or if you haven't, you should. Pretty cheap. I think it's like $40, but a lot of cool sounds on there. Thud pluck, and then I threw a dev lock and cranked it up, so it's got a weird tone to it, but this is without the dev lock. Literally just a pluck, basic pluck, but then when you put that dev lock on it, very cool. Alright, so that comes in after. Got that. Got a little lead that I think probably comes from the OP1 too. That might have come from the mini log. Yeah, just some little spice, some little bells and whistles, if you will, that add some energy. And then we got this lead synth that you'll hear later on when I get to the vocals, which I'm about to get to. There's a vocal. Yeah, it's a fun little outro moment. Nothing crazy, just some EQ, verb, compression. I think that probably came from the mini log too. So yeah, that's it for. Oh, and then I think Parker actually added these little tremolo guitars. We talked about just getting a little more energy to end the song. Then we got a tremolo swell, just a single note swell, just to build us out. And then we just got a hard cutoff, you know. I like songs that just kind of. And that's it. So that is everything for the production. I don't think I missed anything. If I did, I apologize. But let's go to the vocals, because I think I think the vocals have a lot of cool stuff, and I will get into what to do with the OP1 to get that vocal tone. Okay, so I'm going to go through my basic chains here. So we are going to, let me just make sure everything's functioning before I fully get into this. Okay, we are still recording. We are still streaming. All right. I hate this angle. I wish I could. Can I get this? Ugh, that sucks. Hold on. Nope, can't do that because it's plugged in. Oh, life is so hard. Okay. Nope. Whatever. You're just going to get this profile view. Nothing I can do. Okay, let's keep going. So, we are doing the vocals. Alright, so I section my vocals out into lead and backgrounds, and I give them different buses. I'll show you the lead bus. The lead bus and the background bus are very similar, as you can see. This is kind of a new bus that I've been using a lot. Starts out with cutting 80 hertz and then cutting just random frequencies that this you really want to do for your voice. So if you're trying to, emulate this, cut where you feel like your voice has mud. Not everybody's voice has the same frequencies, so don't just copy that. Not saying that you would, but you really got to kind of figure out what annoying frequencies your voice has that you don't want in there. Using the 1176. This one I'm trying to really just get, if I get to my lead, really trying to get between like 3 and 5 dB gain reduction.
If there was some kind of reason,
so you can see
you didn't want me there, 'cause
we're not even really getting,
I'm having trouble believing.
I don't even really want that much.
That's between
but right where it is,
all in my head.
on the really hard hitting parts, you get almost up to 5. And then I'm just adjusting the output, trying to get it to, fit, sit down in the mix. Short attack, short release for this one. Next compressor is the LA2A. Really not trying to have too much reduction on this. Like less than 3 dB is pretty good. Again, you're just messing with these, trying to get it right around like 1 to 2 dB of reduction. Another compressor. This one is just that preset production ready vocals. I just like I like what that does. Was very excited when I got the Pro Q4 because that was not part of the Pro Q3, but it uses like the spectral stuff. You didn't want me there, 'cause the dynamic EQ, which I think is really cool. There's another EQ I really like, Gulf Foss. This one was a little pricier. I think it was, I don't remember, over $100, but it's kind of the same thing where it uses that dynamic EQ. I really like this for vocals. They also have one for your master. If you're doing mastering, comes with that. But yeah, it's just like recovering frequencies, taming frequencies. You can brighten. I was using a pretty bright mic on this one, so I didn't feel the need to brighten it any. And then I throw this gentle vocal. This is a really soft compressor. It's the same thing, but this preset is just, I just feel like it's like a gloss, long attack, long release, and not too much input. A little bit of multiband, doing a little bit of compressing, low here,
you didn't want me there, 'cause
in the 4000s and the almost 10,000s. Again, with the multiband stuff, you really just kind of want to listen for what you feel like is benefiting your vocal. And there's that. Ducked a little bit of highs, and then I throw this L1. I recently started doing this. I just liked how it sounded. I don't have a real justification for this, but I saw somebody use it, and I started using it, and I liked how it sounded. So that's my lead vocal chain. The background is quite literally the same. Some of the settings might be changed, but just without ducking that high-end frequency. Yeah, and then I think oh, that's actually the same. Yeah, a lot of those settings are the same. I just wanted to have a different bus so that I could bounce them separately. I got a saturation bus with Saturn, a little EQ. Got a verb bus with Valhalla. Little EQ. Got a quarter note delay, or sorry, eighth note delay, a quarter note delay as a bus. Background space, which I use that micro shift from Sound Toys, and then put a little verb on it. That's a bus, and then hook space, same thing, just a different micro shift setting with some verb, just to give a little more space to the vocals in the backgrounds and in the hook. Obviously use those buses to your own taste if you're using buses. But then, you'll look, and sometimes I end up in kind of the end of my process, just end up throwing on plugins directly onto the vocal or whatever track it is. Like you can see here, I still threw like an analog delay on there. I just wanted some extra stuff. I still threw 5% of large factory reverb. And what the heck?
I know your eyes are blown.
I guess I cut for this one a lot of the highs and the lows off.
I know your eyes.
Almost like a phone filter. But the funny thing is, even without that, it's still
I know your eyes are blowing green.
pretty fuzzy, because what I did actually with a lot of these vocals, especially the pitched ones, is I got my Marantz solid state recorder. This kind of functions as like an interface, but it records onto, super tedious because it records onto this, where is it? Oh. Records onto this, my goodness. This flash disk. And then you have to end up plugging it into your computer, transferring the files over. And it's tedious, but it gives a really kind of warm, old school tone. In this case, I think I had it cranked a little too much, but also probably how I wanted it at the time.
I know your eyes are blowing green.
To give that natural distortion. Yeah, so we got a lead vocal through here. Ran to those buses with different elements
If there
of
was
those.
some kind of reason
Those
you didn't
buses.
want me there, 'cause I'm having trouble believing it's all in my head.
Also for this, I used the AKG 214 condenser mic, and then ran it into a DBX 286S preamp, and then ran that into the Apollo Twin.
It's all in my head.
Yeah, so why don't we just get into the thing that I feel like anybody who's watching this
Thing that's between us.
wants to hear, is the fomented vocals. So I'm going to give a tutorial on how to do this, and then I will cut this out and I will put it on TikTok and Instagram, so anybody who wants to see it can see it. So, how to get this warp vocal. Now what you're going to do, now in the videos I've been doing, I've just been using the OP1 as a MIDI controller and just turning on the vocal. But the way that you get this tone, I'm going to do a demonstration here. So, first thing first, you're going to record the melody that you like. When you use the OP1, you are going to hit Shift, Input, and then, oh, no. First you have to set it to, So, you gotta go on here. Make sure this is seen. Hold on. Alright. So you can't really see the actual buttons, but you have to set your sound to, in the categories, there's one called sampler. You have to set it to sampler because that allows you to record into the microphone. Then what you're going to do is press shift, and this button lets you do the input. And what you are trying to do is record into, so you're going to press all three of these: shift, this blue button, and then the microphone. And you'll see, I don't know if you can see it, but it says press to sample. So that's where you're going to do your recording. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to record your melody that you're going for into, I usually just pick C, right? Middle C. And so if I can sing this, 'cause I relive it like a feature, 'cause I relive it like a feature. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sing that into this microphone. 'Cause I relive it, 'cause I relive it like a feature. Little pitchy, whatever, you get the idea. If I go back on this, sometimes this has been a little weird for me. Alright. So I'm going to play this in so you can hear it. 'Cause I relive it like a feature. 'Cause I relive it like a feature. Okay, now the best way to do this is to play this, 'cause I relive it like a feature, this sound down. You know, I'm on middle C right now, so I'm going to go down like 5 to 7 notes, anywhere from there, and that's going to give you a nice tone. So if I go to B, 'cause I relive it like, 'cause I relive B flat A, 'cause I relive, I'm going to go down to F sharp. So here's F sharp with that. 'Cause I relive it like a feature. Okay, so what you'll notice is that it's significantly slower, and it's also pitched down, right? So I want my, because if I just pitch this up, right? 'Cause I relive it like a feature. It's not at the speed that I want it to be, and it's a different melody. 'Cause I relive it like a feature. Right, so sorry, live it like a what I realize you need to do is you need to re-record this, singing this melody at this speed. Live it like a feature. Into there, and then when you pitch it back up to the middle C, it will be the melody that you originally sang. Sorry, live it like a feature. Sorry, live it like a feature. Right? Okay, so what I'm going to do now, sorry, live it like a feature. Sorry, live it like a feature. Sorry, live it like a feature. And you have to do it at that speed too. Sorry, live it like a feature. Alright, so I'm going to re-record onto that F sharp. Sorry, live it. Here we go. 'Cause I relive it like a feature. Alright, so it might not have been exactly the same, but what we have now, I relive it like a, relive it like, for some reason this this knob is not working for me. Relive it like, it's starting midway through the word. Relive it. I relive it like a feature. Alright, well, you get the idea. So, I relive it like a feature. So I'm singing it at that level that when it comes back here to C, I relive it like a feature. 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 You're getting that melody, but worked up. I relive it like a feature. And I'm going to be so real. I don't think there's a better warp tone. If you look at all the plugins, I just don't think you're getting the same tone. There's just something about it that is so nice. And yeah, so I kind of did a couple different ones. Like you'll hear this one. It's a little bit higher, right? So I mean, part of it is I maybe just didn't sing that correct. But I also probably recorded it a little bit further down and then pitched it back up so that it was even more warped higher. But you're just singing that at the regular notes. 'Cause I relive it like a feature. 'Cause I relive it like a feature. And then pitching it down.
'Cause I relive it like
slow it
a
down.
feature.
Then you're going to re-sing it in at that speed and that melody.
'Cause I relive it like a feature.
And then pitch it back up to your C.
'Cause I relive it like a feature.
And that's how you get that tone. So I think I did it in a couple different spots on the keyboard.
I memorize your features.
These are the same, but then I think when it came over here,
You say things you don't mean.
or maybe I didn't. Maybe I kept them all in the same spot on the keyboard.
'Cause I relive it like a feature.
But yeah, so quick summary. Record your melody into C as normal. Pitch it down however far you want. The farther you pitch it down, the more it's going to be pitched up when you re-sing it. So if you want it to be higher, you want it to be lower. And, the inverse works, right? So if you record higher pitch at that speed, you can pitch it down. It'll have a lower formant, but at the same speed. So yeah, you're going to record into whatever note. You're going to find out what that melody is, sing it at that speed and at that melody in that note, and then pitch it back up to your C. And that is how you get that formant shift. So let's hear those vocals.
If there was some kind of reason you didn't want me there, 'cause I'm having trouble believing this thing that's between us is all in my head.
And then here come the formant.
I relive it like a feature. I memorize your features.
And every word you said,
And yeah, I think I
I
ran
know your eyes are blowing green.
a lot of those through from the OP1 into the Marantz and then into Ableton.
And
And that's why they're a little bit more distorted. Because I don't really have any distortion on them. It's just from the Marantz.
And every word you said, I know your eyes are blowing green.
You say things you don't mean.
It's all in my head.
That one's super distorted. And so that's our lead for the first verse.
Psychiatric hold. No
Second, I got my
reason to release
tune.
me. I never
For
make
this one,
it
I got the
easy.
tune
I'm
up
finding out
10
that
and
there's
10.
no
I
place
usually
like
go 20 and 20 here. 20 tracking, 20 retune. But I think I wanted to be a little more tuney on this one. I usually do flex tune around 75, somewhere from 50 to 75. Because I don't like when tune, it has to be a very particular setting, but I just don't like it when it sounds like there's a ton of auto-tune on it, so I want it to be a little more just kind of natural sounding. That's why I cranked the humanized too. And I think that gives
psychiatric
it,
hold.
if I turn
No
this
reason
off.
to release me. I never make it easy. I'm finding out that there's no
It's not a ton of
place like
difference,
home.
but
what good is a keepsake if I'm stuck here in a freeze?
just kind of gives it that nice tune feel.
Psyche.
Um,
And every word you said,
This one I actually did throw a little bit of radiator on, just to kind of make it a little extra fuzzy. This one just had the natural distortion. If I take this off and this off and this,
I know your eyes are blowing green.
that just came from the Marantz. I'm gonna check in real quick. Okay, still working. All right. And then we have our backgrounds, which I think I usually just end up doing some classic doubles. Oh, I do want to get into this. So this is something I recorded into the OP1 and then just straight up chopped it. You know, if I have... That's not the right word, but you know what I mean. Just chopped it. Recorded the chop in. I knew I wanted the song to start that way. I threw this Digitalis plugin. This thing is fun. Very kind of a lot of weird effects you can get. I threw this a little movement on here. You can mess with the formant, all that stuff. But again, I just don't think any of these plugins give you the same thing that re-recording it and doing it in the OP1 does. But you know, if you found one that is an easier one, please share it with me. And then I put, so there's a delay that's automated to turn on right there, but it turns off at the beginning. I didn't want it to happen over that. And then yeah, so we got the tune going on for those. Nothing crazy, just ran them into the background stuff. Kind of a little reverb tail here that I threw on for the end of that phrase.
It's all in my head.
And then we have a little delay build that I probably just resampled. Yeah, I think I was using like a guitar pedal and just turning it up and down. A lot of little delay chops, like I got this one going over the hook. Just heavy verb, heavy echo boy. Oh, I had this eye chop going, but I had it cutting out a bunch, so I wanted to kind of just make it a little more glitchy through that build up. And then we get into the chorus, and then we've got this cool vocal chop that I got from the OP1, just pitching it up. Panning around. Got that going through the chorus. Kind of feel that yeah, basic doubles. I always do the left and the right for the doubles. Got some harmonies here.
There's no place like home. No, I just can't let it.
Little stack going on.
No, I just can't let it. No,
some other harms. Got this hook
and
in.
every word you said,
That's one of my favorite.
and every word you said.
Got this big "It's all in my head" stack.
It's all in my head.
Going into that second chorus. Got this in the middle of that second chorus.
It's all in my head.
Just super messed up with this digitalis. Just lovely. Threw that stack back in midway through. Bridge leads are pretty simple.
Holding on to nothing, I was holding your hand. I shot the sun right at the sky.
Radiator on them, just to give them a little more fuzz.
Holding on.
What else? What else do we do? Oh, we got a lot of harms here. Basic doubles. Some random harms.
Holding on to nothing, I was holding your hand. Didn't see where it landed.
Yeah, that's there. We got some low doubles occasionally.
Like I've been holding on.
This
to
is really
nothing,
low for me, so I had to heavily tune that to get it to sit. Got a little track. Threw a crystallizer on that. It's kind of a doubler. That's a really nice double effect. And then we got another harmony.
Holding on to nothing, I was holding your hand.
A little counter melody.
Holding on to nothing, I was holding your hand. Like I've been holding on to nothing, I was holding your hand. I shot.
You know, I like to layer the vocals, so we got a lot of layering going on. And then we get to this. We got a big little moment. Wanted to fill this out with right where you want me to be. Too big. You know, saying like, you know, it's all in my head, and it's like you want me to be in my head. You know, you like this. You know, this is where you want me to be. So yeah, just a left and a right and a center with heavy distortion from the decapitator. H delay, R verb. I don't often use those, but I always think that I should more because I like how they sound. And then this I did for a cool sounds as well. This sound, which I don't know, something in my head. I just heard this coming out of right where you want me to be. Something about that I just feel like worked. We got that, and then we got to It's nonsense, but it's very cool to me. Because if you take off these plugins, it's just me going Then you throw on that hard tune and the distorted delay. I don't know. It works. It works there. And then I got some ah pads I did. Yeah, and then we get into me doing a vocal double of that synth that goes over the outro. And then it looks like I just pitched one of them up an octave, we can see. To take us out of the song. And that's about it. I'm gonna run the whole thing one time so we can see if we hear any of this new stuff with our newfound knowledge. Yeah, let's run it back.
If there was some kind of reason you didn't want me there, 'cause I'm having trouble believing this thing that's between us is all
And that's that. That is the production breakdown. Oh, that's going to restart. That is the production breakdown for In My Head. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, following along. If you want to see me do more of these, let me know. Yeah, appreciate you guys. And goodbye.